Welcome to Jeffco Stadium as the 1999 high school football season gets ready to kick off for the Arvada West Wildcats. Wildcats this evening hosting the Fort Collins Lambkins the same way the season started last year for these two teams. Hi everybody, Eric Christensen with you as I was all of last year and as I will be for the most of this season. My normal partner Don Martin absent, so I'll be manning the captain's chair this evening solo tonight. Arvada West dressed in their purple tops and silver pants, Fort Collins in their purple pants and white tops. As you're looking now, you see the captains at midfield. We have Rob Morellas, Ryan Palmer, Mike Duran, and David Wyatt as the captains for Arvada West. For Fort Collins, tailback Martine Romero and middle linebacker Wiley Galoo captaining, and it appears as if Arvada West has won the toss. They are going to choose to kick it, so Fort Collins will get the football to start this football game. Both these teams last year finished with identical records. Each was 8-3, but that's about where the similarities end. If you remember last season's game between these two teams, Arvada West scored 27 points in the first quarter on their way to a 41-0 win over the Lambkins. Now that is a little misleading because for the first time in quite a while, Tim Monty decided to change his offensive philosophy. Lambkins, that was their first game with the new offense. Took the team a little while to gel as they did. They finished the season strong after that crushing defeat to the Wildcats last year, finishing 8-3. A couple players to look out for this year for Arvada West. We're going to talk about a lot of guys during the course of the year, but the leaders for this team, especially on defense, is Ryan Palmer. This is a guy who many regard as the best linebacker, maybe the best defensive player in the state. One moment that sticks out in my mind from last year was that Pomona game. He knocked the guy out cold for about 10 minutes. Ryan Palmer being sought after by a number of Division I schools, and he is an awesome football player, especially at the high school level. Last year, he was the leading tackler for the team with 91 tackles. 14 of those went for negative yardage, and he was the outstanding defensive player on the team as a junior. He'll anchor the defense on offense. You're going to see a lot of Mike Duran, but not maybe how you saw him last year. Last year, Duran saw a lot of time at tailback. However, this year, expect to see him split out more as a wide receiver. Regardless, Coach Logan knows that Mike Duran is quite a football player. Duran expects to see the ball 15, 20, maybe even 25 times a game. Those are two of the players to watch out for this Arvada West Wildcat team as the Wildcats take the field and get ready to kick this thing off. Arvada West last year, 8-3, as we mentioned. They lost in the first round of the playoffs to Thomas Jefferson. A crushing blow, and a blow that Dave Logan says really has served as a motivating factor for this football team through the summer and the fall. Dave Logan very happy with how this team went to work with their strength and weight conditioning over the summer. He feels this team has a very good attitude coming into the year. On paper, only 8 returning starters for the Wildcats. However, a lot of guys who didn't start last year did see significant playing time. So while 8 returning starters may indicate that this team isn't experienced, a lot of the guys who are first-year starters this year have seen a lot of action, so that stat is a little misleading. Fort Collins yet to take the field for the kickoff here. Looks like Mike Duran is going to do the honors of kicking off for the Arvada West Wildcats, and right now we're going to take a pause as we hear the national anthem.
Arvada West High School.
anthem by the Arvada West High School pep band, and we've got a beautiful night for football here just at the front range, or at the foothills, I should say, of the Rocky Mountains. The sky was crying a few moments ago, but it must have been tears of joy as the 1999 high school football season is ready to be kicked off. Again, Mike Duran's going to do the duties for Arvada West. Back to return the kick for Fort Collins, Ryan Walker and tailback Martin Romero, a couple guys whose names we probably will mention often tonight. Martin Romero, the leading ground gainer, returning for the Lambkins, or as I was told earlier today after talking with assistant head coach Bob Deal, the Black Sheep, as they're like to be called. They think that's just a little tougher, and actually it wasn't Duran doing the duties there. This is Walker taking it at the 5 and has a little bit of running room out across the 20, and that tackle is made by Eddie Reynolds, 6 foot, 180-pound senior who might see some action at defensive back. Most likely we'll see a lot of Eddie on special teams this season. Let's run down the Arvada West defense for you. Along the line, 3 pretty good players. Chris Chavez, Joe Knight, Rob Morellas, all seniors, as is Jaden McNeely. McNeely's an interesting story. Last year he played linebacker. This year he's being moved to the front 4. 1st and 10, ball at the 22 for Fort Collins. Fort Collins, no wide receivers, a little bit of motion. Handoff around the left side, and that play is going nowhere as Ryan Palmer makes his presence felt early. That's a loss of 2 on the play. As Davin Cook was the ball carrier on that one. He gained, or as I said, he loses 2 on the play. 2nd and 12 for the Lambkins. Somewhat surprised to see Mr. Cook carrying the ball here early on for Fort Collins. He wasn't expected to see much playing time. Of course, you never know when coaches are being straight with him. No offense, Coach Logan, since this is the Arvada West High School Network. 2nd and 12 for the Lambkins. Early moments here in the first quarter. Martin Romero along the right side. He has a little bit of room, not much. A host of Wildcats in on that tackle, including Luke Vanola, and that's a pickup of about 2, so that takes it back to the original line of scrimmage. It's going to be 3rd and 10, a situation that I'm sure Fort Collins doesn't want to be faced with too often in this football game. Let's round out the defensive starters for Arvada West for you. At linebacker, Ryan Palmer. We've talked about him before. He'll be joined by junior Jared Sanchez, number 51, and John Flora, number 5, another junior. At the defensive backs, Drew Cisneros and J.C. Tyus, and the safeties are Josh Ranson and Luke Vanola. 3rd and 10 for the Lambkins. Romero in motion. Play action. That's the quarterback. He's being pressured. Breaks a tackle. Throws, and the ball is batted down. Great pressure there by the Wildcats. Ryan Palmer, one of the members applying pressure, as was John Flora. Jacob Bernato, the senior quarterback for Fort Collins, under a lot of pressure there. He was lucky to get away and, I guess, stave off of the sack. Nonetheless, though, the Arvada West defense holds. They look fairly impressive here in their first series in the 1999 season, and that's going to force a punt by Fort Collins. Mike Duran back to receive this punt for Arvada West, along with Caleb Atchison. Punting for Fort Collins is Brett Lanners. Takes a snap. Spiraling kick's going to be caught at the 45. That's Atchison. He's got some running room. Breaks a tackle across the 20, 10, 5. Touchdown! Caleb Atchison, a newcomer for this Arvada West High School football team, and that return is good for 55 yards. Atchison, an interesting story for this Arvada West High School football team. This is his first year playing football. He used to play soccer at Arvada West, and I guess Dave Logan was able to convince him to try his hand at football, and to at least our knowledge, the first time he touches the ball in live action, he takes it 55 yards to the house, so maybe Caleb's going to stick with this game. It seems to be serving him pretty well. We've got a player down. Actually, we don't have a player down on the field. It looks like we have an official who might be a little dinged up. Didn't exactly see what happened there. An odd occurrence is the first injury of this 99 season, at least during an A-West football game, happens to an official and not a player. We do hope that he's all right. But how about Caleb Atchison looking much like Brad Pyatt, who has gone on to greener pastures at Kentucky, catches that punt, saw the seam, broke it to the left side, and there was no one from Fort Collins to touch him. And so far, this game looks a lot like the game last year. Fort Collins blown out of the water early and often by the Wildcats, and here we've played only a couple minutes of action, 10 minutes remaining here in the first quarter. Arvada West hasn't even had an offensive series because they've scored on special teams. And that's how Arvada West did it last year against the Lambkins. I believe they returned 2 punts for touchdowns there in that first quarter, and as we mentioned earlier, they built a 27-0 lead in the first quarter and went on to win it 41-0. Thomas Valenta in to kick the extra point for the Arvada West Wildcats. Good snap. Lefty puts his foot into it. The kick's up and good. And with 10 minutes remaining in this football game, Arvada West leads it 7-0. And needless to say, a very good start to the 99 season for Dave Logan and the Wildcats. As we mentioned earlier, spoke with Bob Deal from Fort Collins, one of the assistant coaches today, and he said the biggest, or one of the biggest obstacles facing the coaching staff for the Black Sheep this week was to try to instill confidence in this young football team and try to give them the confidence they would need to play with Arvada West. And what happened there on that first punt return, a 55-yard touchdown return by Caleb Atchison, probably goes a long way into breaking down what the Fort Collins coaches were trying to build up all this week in practices. Fort Collins, a team that got blown out early and often by Arvada West last year, probably questioning themselves a little bit here early on in the first quarter. There's a lot of football left to be played, but we may be seeing two teams on different ends of the confidence spectrum. Walker and Romero again deep for the Lambkins. We've got an interesting story about a new tailback for the Arvada West Wildcats. We'll get a little more into that when and if the Wildcats actually have to take an offensive snap in this football game. I believe it's Jace Fletcher, 6', 375-pound sophomore, who is manning the kickoff duties this year for Arvada West. And I better be cautious when I use the word manning, because much like Katie Nida up at CU, we may see a person of different gender doing some kicking before this game's out for Arvada West. We'll tease that story and have more on that when and if it happens. Fletcher lets his teammates get set up. He puts a foot into it. Another pretty decent kick. Romero fields it about a yard deep in his own end zone. And in high school, you can't return it if you catch it in the end zone. So the referee blows his whistle, and Fort Collins is going to set up shop once again at their own 20-yard line. Last time Fort Collins had the ball, they had 3 plays and gained a total of 0 yards. They'll strive to do better on this, their second offensive series. Let's run down the starters here for the Fort Collins Lambkins on offense. The offensive line at center, Joe Monty. He is the coach's son, number 67. On his left side, Tristan Botcher and Eric Cooper. Eric Cooper is a good one. And on the right side, Mike Clark and John Spite. Spite is actually a tight end for Fort Collins. That's Romero in motion again. A little pitch back to Romero. He has some running room out across the 25. A gain of 7 out to the 27-yard line, and on that tackle, Jared Sanchez, and I think he may have been helped out by Rob Morellis. The other tackle for Fort Collins, they weren't sure who they were going to play there earlier this afternoon, is Matt Pierce. He's a sophomore, so a sophomore for Fort Collins, seeing quite a bit of playing time.
Fort Collins, 27.
Fort Collins, 2nd down and 3. That's Romero again in motion, and he gets the ball again, and he kind of tiptoes his way out across the 30. That's a first down for the Lambkins their first of the football game, and after being shell-shocked early by that 55-yard punt return for a touchdown, the Fort Collins offense does what they need to do. Get a first down and start trying to move the football. Romero, 3 carries so far, 13 yards for the senior for the Black Sheep. 1st and 10, ball at their own 31, Fort Collins in that full house backfield set. Little misdirection, a handoff to the fullback right up the gut. Not much room there. A host of Wildcats in on the tackle, including one Ryan Palmer. And it is a gain of about a yard. So we're going to call it 2nd and 9. Beck Anderson on the carry there for the Lambkins. Ball's at the 32. Interesting how 2 players for the Lambkins on offense exit the huddle much earlier than the rest of the players. That's Romero again in motion in the backfield. Again, I think it's a handoff up the gut, actually. They take it around the right side. A pickup of about 7 yards out close to the 40-yard line. In on that tackle for Arvada West is Joe Knight, a 5'10", 200-pound senior, and that's going to bring up 3rd and about maybe 2 or 3 yards for the Lambkins. Again, important for Fort Collins at this juncture of the football game to maybe have their offense on the field here for a couple series and kind of calm each other down. They got a little excited there early on, maybe a little anxious, down 7-0 early on. They need to take this football, build up a little confidence, and try to see what they can do. Little misdirection, broken tackle, and there's some running room as Devin Cook takes it out near the 45, a pickup of 6 for Mr. Cook, and that's another Lambkins first down, and they move the chains once again.
Tackle made by number 10, Campbell. Ball at the Fort Collins 45.
A lot of misdirection used by the Black Sheep in the backfield. As a defensive player, it's a scheme you probably don't see often, so when you're trying to prepare for it during the week, I'd imagine this is a difficult scheme to really get a hand on. Rudy Andrade, the defensive coordinator for Arvada West, probably had his hands full this week. That's Cook following a block from his quarterback, takes it out close to the 50. Pickup of 4 for Cook, and so that's going to take it out to the 49. Actually, a 2 for Cook. He was tackled at the 47, so it's going to bring up 2nd down and 8.
2nd down and 8.
Cook leaving the field for Fort Collins. So far, Fort Collins has yet to complete a pass. They've only attempted 1. 2nd down and 8. Again, that sort of split T or full house backfield. Got a flag on the play. This play will be coming back, probably a legal motion by the Lambkins. Nonetheless, pretty good pickup of 5 on the play by Ian Venter. But I think this one's going to be brought back, and it is a penalty against Fort Collins. So this is going to put the Black Sheep in a little bit of a hole. I believe it'll probably be a 5-yard penalty. It is. That's going to bring up 2nd down and 13 for the Lambkins.
Fort Collins 42-yard line. 2nd down and
yeah, we mentioned heavy rain blew through this area about hour ago, but right now rainbow out on the sky, sun shining, lights on, and it's probably turned out to be a nice, pretty cool evening for football for these kids. 2nd down and 13. Ball at Fort Collins 42. Again, Monty and Riley Galoo exiting the huddle early for the Lambkins. Bernato back to pass, rolling to his right, needs to escape some pressure. Looks, fires, that pass going to be picked off by Luke Vanola at Arvada West's own 36-yard line. Vanola with some running room. He is eventually tackled by Bernato, but not until he brings it inside the Fort Collins 40-yard line. In on that tackle as well, that big sophomore tackle, Matt Pearson. He gave Vanola quite a shot. Nonetheless, Pressure again by that defensive line by Arvada West causes a turnover, and they've got the ball deep in Fort Collins territory. So Arvada West is going to have it at the Fort Collins 38-yard line. That is where it will be 1st and 10, and now we get our first look at the 1999 Arvada West offense. 2 backs split behind David Wyatt, Duran, and Zach Huey. Wyatt under center. Straight drop, looks to his right, fires, has Duran across the 35, down close to the 30. He is tackled there by Paul Shine, a 6', 183-pound senior, but not until Duran picks up 8 yards on the play. That's going to bring up 2nd down and 2. Duran was one of the many game breakers last year for the Arvada West Wildcats offense. However, Jeremy Craighead, Brad Pyatt, those guys are no longer here. They've graduated and moved on to greener pastures, so a little bit more of the load will be shouldered this year by Mike Duran. He's joined in the backfield by Matt Sims. Wyatt back to pass, finds Duran again across the 25, 20, inside the 15, and brought down at the 14-yard line. Tackle made by Devin Warner, a junior cornerback by Fort Collins. But again, a pretty good gain by Mike Duran. And you got to like what Dave Logan's doing with David Wyatt. Remember, Wyatt saw significant action last year for the Wildcats. Actually started 2 or 3 games, but this being, I guess, the first year where he'll shoulder all of the pressure and burden that is being a starting quarterback. Dave Logan gives him a couple easy throws to make here early on, and they pick up pretty good bunch of yardage. Short pickup there. Down close to the Fort Collins 12. We'll say it's down to the 10. And the ball was carried by number 36. However, we don't have a 36 on the roster. A good guess is that it's Mike Orr, except he's supposed to be wearing number 3. 2nd down, and call it 8 for the Wildcats. Wyatt hands it off to Orr again. Orr breaks a tackle across the 10, fights for a couple extra yards, down to the 7, a pickup of 5. And we're looking at a 3rd down and 4 yards for Arvada West.
Stop made by number 54. 2-0.
Maybe at halftime we'll have to see if indeed that is Mike Orr, who is wearing number 36 for Arvada West. David Wyatt in the shotgun. 3rd down and about 4 for Arvada West. Orr with him in the backfield. Wyatt, 3-step drop, throws it to the left side to Orr. Orr makes a nice catch, spins out of a tackle, and slithers his way down to the 2-yard line. He breaks a tackle there. That allows him to pick up the 1st down. That's a pickup of 6 for Orr, and Arvada West now has it 1st and goal inside the 5. Nice catch there by Orr, and then the ability to break a tackle as soon as he caught the ball gave Arvada West the 1st down. 1st and goal inside the 5. Wyatt again in the shotgun. Kicks up his knee. There's a draw play to Orr. Orr hit initially and tackled by a host of black sheep leading the charge. Number 61, and that is Steve Johnson, a senior who plays defensive end for Tim Monty's club. Tim Monty, of course, in his 20th year of coaching. His son, Pete, actually playing linebacker for the New York Giants. Pete played collegiately at Wisconsin. Mentioned David Wyatt getting off to a nice start. He's completed his first 3 passes for 30 yards. 2nd and goal for the Wildcats. They lose 2 on that play, so the ball's just a little outside the 5. We've got Huey and Duran in the backfield, split behind Wyatt. Little sprint option to the right side. Wyatt ducks it under and dives his way across the goal line for a touchdown. And a nice start here to the 99 season for David Wyatt as Arvada West adds to their lead. Now it's 13-0 Wildcats over the Lambkins. Kicking for Arvada West is going to be Kristen Kamen, and as we mentioned before, she is not manning the duties. I guess you'd say she is commanding the duties here on this extra point. Kristen, obviously a female, a 5'7" junior, and the kick is up, and it is. No one's given us a signal. I guess it's good. Band's playing, team's running off the field, and there's been no change on the scoreboard. There we go. The kick is good. Negligent job by the officials of signaling for that kick is Kristen Kamen. A nice story there. She makes good on her first PAT in our Arvada West Wildcat uniform. That makes the score 14-0 A West. In this game, if you're a Fort Collins fan, eerily similar to last year's game when our Arvada West won it 41-0. As we've mentioned a number of times already tonight, Arvada West jumped out to a 27-0 lead in the first quarter in that one, led it at the half 34-0, and went on to win it 41-bagel. Back to receive this kick, Walker and Romero again for the Black Sheep. Kicking off for Arvada West, Mr. Fletcher. .206 remaining here in the fourth quarter. As we mentioned, Wildcats with a 14-0 lead over the visitors from up north in Fort Collins. Fletcher approaches the ball, puts a foot into it. That's a real good kick. Romero catches it, drops it at the goal line. This is a live ball. Romero has absolutely no blocking, breaks the initial tackle, brought down, however, at the 16-yard line. In on that tackle, Jared Sanchez, along with number 44. That is Gianfranco Pacello. 16-yard pickup on the return for Romero, and Fort Collins will set up shop at the 16-yard line.
Fort Collins, 16-yard line.
First and 10, ball at the 16 for the Lambkins. You would think it's imperative for Fort Collins to, if they can't score on this possession, at least pin Arvada West back and make the Wildcats go the full length of the field. Romero, a little bit of running room along the right side, eventually brought down, but not until he's past the 20, out to the 22-yard line. Pickup of 6 on the tackle there. Drew Cisneros spearheaded the charge as a host of Wildcats pushed him back, but not until Romero picked up 6. Romero's had a pretty good night. 5 carries, 26 yards for Romero.
Second down and 4.
Second and 4 for the Lambkins. Fort Collins has had a little bit of success running the football here in the first quarter. Romero, 5 carries, 26 yards. You can live with that average. That penalty in the last drive killed him in the first drive. They just went nowhere. This time Romero finds the going a little more difficult as he fights, claws, and slithers his way out to the 25. That's going to lead him a couple yards shy of a first down, maybe 1. So let's say a pickup of 3 for Romero. It's going to bring up a short yardage situation, 3rd and 1. A number of the defensive backs exiting the field for Arvada West. They bring in a little more bulk. One of the players checking in for Arvada West, Jason Higbee, 5'7", 180-pound senior linebacker. He's out there on the right corner. Morellas, Chavez, Knight, those guys, this is where they need to excel. A little delayed quarterback draw, and that's going to be good for a first down. Actually, probably a pickup of, well, about 2 yards as Jacob Bernato picked up the first down for the Lambkins, and the clock continues to roll. We're under 30 seconds, actually 27 seconds remaining here in the first half, and Fort Collins gets yet another first down. I guess I shouldn't say yet another first down. It's not as if they've been moving the ball up and down the field, but they've been able to move the chains a little bit against this A-West defense. But you get the feeling that Fort Collins isn't going to be able to move the ball in 3- and 4-yard chunks with any consistency, especially when they're beginning drives at their own 20, sometimes even further. It's tough to go 80 yards when you have to do 12, 13, 14 plays. A lot of pressure. Bernato tucks it under, breaks a tackle. However, he's eventually brought down at the 25, a loss of 2, helping out there on the sack. John Flora, and maybe Ryan Palmer might have been in on that as well. Actually, I think Rob Morellas might have been in on that tackle. Morella's a 5'11", 185-pound senior for the Wildcats. Well, the first quarter has ended here at Jeffco Stadium, and so far, so good for the Wildcats. They lead it 14-0 here on the Arvada West Wildcat Network. We'll be back when the second quarter begins. Welcome back to Jeffco Stadium, the beginning of the second quarter. As we mentioned, Arvada West off to a good start in this 1999 football season. Dave Logan's crew leads it 14-0 over Tim Monty's visitors from the north. Second down, and we'll call it 11 from their own 26-yard line. We have a whistle. I do not see a flag. Maybe the officials just want to make sure they have everything here under control. They do, and play will resume. I guess you'd call that a full house backfield. All 11 players for Fort Collins in very close proximity. A little misdirection, however. Jaden McNeely is going to have none of that. That's going to be a loss on the play as Devin Cook is the ball carrier. He loses another yard, so that's going to bring up 3rd and long for the Lambkins. I'd imagine as a defensive player in this game for Arvada West, you really need to be assignment conscious, very disciplined in your assignment. If you go wildly chasing the football in this kind of offensive Fort Collins run, you're going to get out of position, and that's where the Lambkins can hurt you with big plays. Use a lot of misdirection. If you stay in your area, play almost like a zone defense with your linemen and linebackers, they'll come to you. I'd imagine that's kind of been the challenge for the A-West defensive coaches this week. Delayed handoff. Actually, it's a draw right up the gut. Very short yardage on the play. In on that tackle was Ryan Palmer once again. We've called his name 3 times. A pickup of about a yard, I believe, for Beck Anderson. And that's going to bring up 4th and long for Fort Collins. Call it 4th and 11 from their own 26-yard line. Mr. Atchison, who's already struck once in this football game, back to return the punt, along with Mike Duran. Atchison wearing number 84 for the Wildcats. Duran wearing number 2. Back to punt for the Lambkins, Brent Lanners. Another low line drive, end-over-end kick. That's Duran with the kick. Might have been a clip there. There's a flag. Duran breaks a couple tackles, and he could be off to the races. He brings this one down inside the 20. However, a flag has been thrown at the 40, and there was definitely a kick. 38 yards on the kick. However, 10, 20, 30, probably close to a 40-yard return. But I think that one's coming all the way back deep into A-West territory.
On the play, clipping.
First penalty of the game for Arvada West. That was, I think, something of a concern last year for Dave Logan, and going back over a few of the game summaries from last year. Seemed like the Wildcats committed a number of penalties in some outings, and I'm sure Dave Logan would like to see this year's version of the Wildcats maybe shore up a little steadier on that portion of the game. This one's going to be taken all the way back inside the 30-yard line. The ball will be spotted at the 25, and that's where Dave Wyatt, Mike Duran, and company will set up shop. Minute and a half gone by here in the second quarter. Our score remains 14-0 A-West. Ball is actually at the 26. Wyatt with Orr behind him. Atchison split left. I believe that's Duran split right. Wyatt fakes a handoff, rolls to his left, throws deep to Atchison. Atchison beats the defender out in front of him in a shoestring tackle inside the Fort Collins 30 by Matt Kraxberger, but not until Atchison picks up a big gainer, 49 yards inside the Fort Collins 30-yard line. And that looked like a case where Fort Collins just wasn't sure what kind of defense they were in. Kraxberger dropped off into a short zone at his defensive back situation. However, there was no deep support from any of the safeties, and Atchison was wide open. Wyatt put it on the numbers. A better pass may have resulted in a touchdown. Nonetheless, Wyatt completes it. He's 4 of 4 for 79 yards. 1st and 10 for the Wildcats at the Fort Collins 25. Eye set behind Wyatt. There's a pitch to Orr. Orr on the right side across the 25, inside the 20, 15, and down close to the 12-yard line. A pickup of 13 for Mike Orr. And Mike Orr knows this Fort Collins team pretty well. Last season, Orr was a 1,000-yard rusher for Fort Collins. However, this year he finds himself at Arvada West, transferred to play with Dave Logan and the Wildcats, and he's seeing significant time here in the home opener for the Arvada West Wildcats. Duran and Atchison leaving the field, and how about Caleb Atchison? Guy's never played football before until this year. He's touched the ball twice. He's got a 55-yard punt return for a touchdown and 1 reception for 49 yards. I'd say his future is very bright. We've got a timeout on the field. Wyatt saw something as he approached the line of scrimmage that he was unsure or unfamiliar with. He's going to step over to the sidelines and have a talk with Coach Logan. Coach Logan looking up and down the sidelines. Matt Sims checking in for Arvada West. Arvada West is going to have a lot of interesting looks this year on offense. When I talked to Coach Logan earlier in the week, Mike Duran, I was like, oh, he's going to be your tailback? He's like, well, not necessarily. We're going to run him at tailback. We're going to run him at wide receiver. That seems to be the case for a lot of guys. Matt Sims, who saw most of his action last year at tailback, he's been split out at wide receiver much today. So they've really got 3 or 4 guys who they're going to rotate at that tailback position. And some of those guys, when they're not playing tailback, they're going to play wide receiver. So I guess in a word, this Arvada West offense, at least with its personnel this year, it's going to be very versatile. Quite possibly a nightmare for opposing defensive coordinators to try to stop or at least try to get a handle on. Josh Ranson split left. He's number 4. We've got Sims and Duran split behind Wyatt. 1st and 10. Wyatt, back pass, 3-step drop, pump fakes, throws across the middle, and misses Sims, who was trying to nestle right inside the 10-yard line. I believe that is the first incompletion of the night for Wyatt, so he is 4 of 5 for 79 yards. However, a pretty good start for the senior quarterback. Wyatt wasn't without his moments last year. You might remember, I believe he started the first couple games of the year for Arvada West, and he was responsible for the late 4th quarter heroics that allowed Arvada West to beat Mullins. So this is a guy who, as Coach Bill McCartney up at CU used to say, has been baptized by fire a little bit last year. Again, 2-back split behind Wyatt. He looks for Duran in the right flat. Duran makes a nice catch at the 20. Tries to fight through a tackle, takes this thing close to the 10-yard line, a pickup of 2. We'll say he's down at the 11. And how about the tackle out there by Devin Warner? You won't see Mike Duran brought down too often one-on-one by a defender. That time Warner did a nice job of making sure Duran didn't turn something into nothing. Duran, he's caught 3 passes for 26 yards, has yet to carry the ball as a running back. He's lined up in that tailback position, however, except they seem to like to throw balls to him out in the flat and see what he can do with it one-on-one. Duran split left. Keep your eye on number 2. Atchison split right. Keep your eye on him. And we've got an eye set behind Wyatt. There is a pitch to Orr. Bad pitches is up near his face mask. He picks it up, reverses his direction, breaks a couple tackles, and Orr scores as he dives into the end zone. That play was going nowhere in a hurry. Somehow, Orr reverses his direction, breaks a couple of tackles at the point of contact, and that was it. He sailed into the end zone with ease. Looks easy from up here. I'm sure it wasn't down there, but how about the 11-yard touchdown run by Mike Orr? Save that one for the highlight clips. Yeah, our spotter, Pat Chavez, tonight says that reminded him a lot of Peter Warwick's play last week for Florida State as they hammered Louisiana Tech. What a nice looking play there by Mike Orr. Extra point is up and good. Making good on that extra point was Taylor Palin, a 5'7", 125-pound freshman. And it's all A-West here as we have 8:31 remaining in the second quarter. The Wildcats lead the Lambkins. Our score, 21-0. Welcome back to Jeffco Stadium. Our score, Arvada West 21, Fort Collins nothing. Again, Fletcher is going to kick it off for Arvada West. For Fort Collins, Walker and Romero to receive the kick for Fort Collins. Arvada West with 116 yards in total offense. That does not include a 55-yard punt return, I'm sure. Fort Collins much less than that, I would assume. That's Romero inside his 10. He carries it straight ahead out near the 30-yard line. Call it a pickup of close to 20 yards for Romero as Fort Collins is going to get another crack at it offensively. This ball is going to be spotted at the 27.
Turning the kickoff. Ball spotted at the
Arvada West, no stranger to success after Dave Logan took over the helms of the Wildcats a handful of years back. They played in back-to-back state championship games, winning the second one as they defeated Bear Creek 21-14. Last year they made it into the playoffs, but lost in the first round to a very talented Thomas Jefferson team. 1st and 10 for Fort Collins, and a little misdirection again, short pickup on the play as Davin Cook goes nowhere, and we'll call it a gain of 1 for Mr. Cook. A lot of people think that this year's Arvada West defense, this year's Arvada West strength is going to be on the defensive side of the ball, and so far so good for the A-West defense. So far Fort Collins only 36 yards in total offense. We've got 7:49 remaining in the second quarter. That is a pretty dominating effort by the guys in purple and silver. Jared Sanchez coming onto the field for Arvada West, number 51, as Jason Higbee leaves the field. Again, full house backfield for Fort Collins. Bernato hands it off to Romero. Romero not going anywhere. In on the tackle, Ryan Palmer, as Palmer had him by the ankles, and another short pickup by the Lambkins going to bring up 3rd down and 8. Martin Romero, 7 carries, 30 yards this evening for Fort Collins. We've got a new defensive player in at linebacker for Arvada West, and that is Eddie Reynolds, 6', 180-pound senior. He's the guy who made the tackle on that first special teams play, and he is kind of playing an outside linebacker here for the Wildcats. Chris Chavez jumps offside, may have been fooled by the offensive shift by the Lambkins. We'll see if he was drawn off.
Dead ball foul, encroachment to Arvada West.
And that is indeed the case. Chavez jumps offside, so Fort Collins gets a free 5 yards, and that's going to bring up a more manageable 3rd and 4.
3rd down and 3.
3rd down and 3 for Fort Collins. Hand off to Romero. Romero trying to pick his spots, and he's absolutely going nowhere. Well, looks like we have a fumble, and Arvada West says they've recovered. I guess it's going to depend on when the whistle blew. Was his forward progress stopped or not? I think that's going to be the case. Romero picks up a yard, so on that series, a very stingy effort by the A-West defense, and I'd imagine that's going to force Fort Collins to punt, and as you can see on your screen, that's indeed the case. So far, Brent Landers, the punter for Fort Collins, has averaged a little over 36 yards per punt. Problem is they've both been line drive punts, and it's giving guys like Atchison and Duran the chance to return them. Last time Duran had a big return, close to 40 yards, however it was brought back after a clipping call. Arvada West calls a timeout. That's the second one they've used here in the first half. Well, they take a break. We'll do the same. Arvada West leading it here in the second quarter. The score 21-0. Wildcats over the Lambkins. We'll be back in a minute. I tell you I'm doing 4 again. Welcome back to Jeffco Stadium. We've got 4th and short for the Lambkins. 4th and we'll call it 2 at their own 35.
Number 6, Landers.
Looks like we have a new person back returning this kick for Arvada West. I believe that's Eddie Reynolds. No, actually it isn't. It's Josh Ranson. He makes a fair catch, a real good punt that time at his own 20-yard line. That time Brent Landers got a little air underneath the football, and Arvada West had to call for a fair catch. 45 yards on the punt and no return, and Arvada West this time is going to have to earn it. They've got to go 80 yards to pay dirt. 5:53 left here in the second quarter. First and 10, A West at their own 20. They've yet to be stopped on offense in this football game tonight. Ranson and Sims out left. It looks like we've got Duran and Atchison on the right. Wyatt and Orr in the backfield. Wyatt takes a snap, drops back, looks to his right, throws deep. There's Atchison. Pretty good coverage on the play. Great catch by Atchison. However, they say he was out of bounds. I'll tell you what, that doesn't look like a guy who's never played football before to me. Maybe he's never played in pads and played at the high school level, but this is a kid who at least played a lot in the sand lot or in the front yard, because he's much better than a guy who's really never played this game before. Wyatt is 5 of 7 for 81 yards here tonight in this football game. Pretty good effort by the senior quarterback for the Wildcats. Second and 10, again, we've got 4 wideouts, 3 to the left, 1 to the right. Atchison, the lone receiver, on the right. Orr joins Wyatt in the backfield. There's a little screen pass to Duran. Duran gets a block from Ranson, kicks it to the outside, breaks a tackle, and eventually is knocked out of bounds, or they're going to say he stepped out of bounds close to the 40. We'll call it the 39, and a nice pickup there by Mike Duran. I'll tell you what, Duran is the big play guy back for this Arvada West Wildcat football team, and he's not disappointing. He's got 4 catches for 45 yards. First and 10 for A West. Ball just shy of their own 40-yard line. Again, another 4 wide receiver set. 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Wyatt and Orr in the backfield. Wyatt takes a snap, drops back, pretty good protection, a little screen pass to Duran again. He makes another tackler or 2 miss, slithers his way out to the 49. He'll be a half-yard shy, a pickup of 9 for Duran. And again, this is what Dave Logan and Arvada West does so well. They don't necessarily throw the ball deep for big chunks of yardages. Oftentimes, they throw short passes that turn out to be big gains. That's what you're seeing them do here. Actually, Duran was tackled at the 48, so pickup of 8. Call it 2nd and 2. That's Orr in the backfield again. Handoff to Orr, breaks a tackle across midfield, out inside into Fort Collins territory at the 46. However, there is a flag on the play. Most likely, this is coming back. It is, and we've got a holding call on Arvada West. waiting to see where they're going to mark this football at. Well, the holding call is going to be a 10-yard penalty from our Fort Collins 49, so actually it's a loss of 7 for Arvada West, and that's going to bring up second down, and we'll call it 9 for Arvada West. It would be an understatement to say that the Black Sheep desperately need a stop here. This game may already be out of hand based on the fact of A West defense has been so dominating, but can't really fall much more behind than 3 touchdowns, I think, in this football game. Wyatt back to pass, looking to his right, throws it out to Orr. Not the best pass. Orr had to turn his body around. Pass was a little high. He couldn't hang on. An incompletion by Wyatt. That's going to bring up 3rd and 8 for Arvada West. Wyatt is 7 of 10 tonight for 108 yards. Looks like Wyatt just may not have had the proper footwork on that release. May have got a little lazy and not set his feet properly and rushed that pass. That might have helped lead to a high pass that was a little bit off the mark. 3rd and long. Ball at the Arvada West 41-yard line. We got 4 receivers. Sims and Ranson on the left, to Duran and Atchison on the right. Orr joins Wyatt in the backfield as Sims goes in motion from left to right. Wyatt back to pass, throws it to Sims, catches it at the 45, and he's going to break a tackle and be close to a first down. However, I think he'll be a yard short. Out there on the tackle for Fort Collins was Troy Carruthers, a junior who plays defensive back periodically for the Lambkins. And it's going to bring up 4th and short now. Last year, Arvada West very rarely punted, whether it was 4th and 1 or 4th and 10, whatever. They very rarely punted, and while Fort Collins has a man deep, I don't think A West is going to punt this football. Dave Logan, for whatever reason, just doesn't really like to punt the ball, and I don't blame him because kickers are kind of a rare breed anyway. 4th and short, and Fort Collins is having to scramble. Wyatt under center, looks like he might be trying to draw him off sides, hands it off to Orr. He fumbles it, and the ball is picked up by Matt Kroxberger of Fort Collins, and so a turnover by Arvada West gives the ball back to Fort Collins. So despite Fort Collins not necessarily having maybe the proper personnel out there for 4th and 1, they luck out and get a turnover as Orr can't handle the handoff from Wyatt. Best field possession of the night for the Black Sheep, a.k.a. the Lambkins. Ball on their own 49. A little different offensive set here by Fort Collins. That's Romero in motion again. He takes a handoff across midfield and out close to the A West 46. Some good blocking there by the sophomore Matt Pierce. He pancaked his man, and actually at the pickup of 4 for Romero. 9 carries, 36 yards for Martine. 2nd down and 6 for Fort Collins. And this may be their first venture into Arvada West territory. Second down and 6 for Fort Collins. Again, 1 tailback, over 3 people lined up right behind the tight end. That's a handoff right up the gut, and a big gain by Chris Kraus, a fullback, a senior for Fort Collins. Pickup of 13 yards on the play, and that's going to be a first down for the Lambkins.
1st and 10, Fort Collins. Ball at the Arvada West 35.
As the lightning strikes out on the eastern horizon, lightning is struck quick here for Arvada West. 21-0. They lead it here in the 2nd quarter. We've got 2:20 remaining. However, Fort Collins threatening to get on the board here. They've got it 1st and 10 at Arvada West 35-yard line. Here's a rollout by Fort Collins. Quarterback has a lot of running room. He's out across the 20, 15, inside the 10. Ouch, he's crunched out of bounds. Josh Ranson out there on the tackle along with Adam Campbell, but Jacob Bernito picks up a big gainer close to the 10-yard line, and Fort Collins looking to get themselves back into this football game. Touchdown here before the half, and if they can hold Arvada West and no other scores, would make this only a 2-touchdown football game, and that definitely a more manageable deficit rather than 3 touchdowns. You can tell that I am a genius when it comes to math. I've always been told that I'm great at stating the obvious, and there it was, folks. 1st and 10, ball at about, let's call it the 11-yard line of the Wildcats. Bernato hands it off to Romero. He's got some running room down close to the 5. A punishing run by Romero. He levied a heap of punishment to Shane Marsh. Marsh, a 5'11" sophomore, in on that tackle, but I think Mr. Marsh might have got the worst of it that time. Romero appears to be a pretty stocky kid. Fort Collins has not given us any heights and weights on their football players. I do have a roster from last year that includes that information. Maybe I'll grab it and take a look. I'd imagine he probably goes close to 180, 190. Second down, we'll call it 6 for Fort Collins. 1:18 clock running. Fort Collins really not showing much urgency. We've got a fumble on the snap, and Arvada West says they've recovered, and indeed they have. Boy, when things are going right, things are going right. Fort Collins knocking on the door, a crucial turnover, and the Wildcats take advantage, picking up the fumble. So the shutout is intact. Rudy Andrade and the defense feeling good about that, and the offense is going to take over at their own 15-yard line. And I'll tell you what, even though there's a minute remaining and they're leading at 21-0, I wouldn't expect Dave Logan to be too conservative here. I think he's going to throw it. I'd expect maybe a screen or another short pass to Dern and see if he can break some tackles and make something happen. I would imagine Dave Logan isn't content with 21 points here in the first half, as well he shouldn't be. Wyatt behind center. A. West in the eye. There's a pitch to Sims. He's got some running room. Nice block by Huey. We've got a flag on the play. Sims brought down out near the 20 by Romero, actually by Kraxberger, but not until he picks up 10 on the play, but there was a flag. Holding on Josh Jones, one of the 2 returning starters on that A. West offensive line. 5'11", 280-pound senior tackle for the Wildcats, and this is going to take A. West deep into their own territory, and with 1:03 remaining, I'd expect to see A. West run the clock now and be content with this 21-0 lead. I expected them to maybe take a shot by throwing a safe pass there to Dern and seeing what would happen, but Coach Logan and the offensive brain trust for Arvada West content to run the ball there and see maybe if something can happen that way. Brings up first down and 10 at the 10, actually first down and 15 for Arvada West. Someone jumped on the defense, and that was Stephen Buff, 5'11", 207-pound senior. At least that was his height and weight last year. And so A. West picks up the 5 yards they lost, and it's going to be second down and about 7 for the Wildcats. Or first down and 7, I should say.
First down, and 8.
Backs split behind Wyatt. That's a handoff to Sims. He breaks a tackle, makes a move, tries to get to the outside, nowhere to go. Nice tackle there by Devin Warner. Warner's played a pretty good first half defensively here for the Black Sheep, as Sims, did I say Jones? If I did, I meant Sims. Sims with a short game on the play, maybe give him 1, and a gain of 1 for Mack. Brings up second down, we'll call it 6. Clock still running, 16 seconds left.
15 seconds remaining to the half.
Huey Stewart come out for Arvada West. 3 seconds remaining, and the Wildcats are not going to get a playoff. We've reached the half. A pretty good first half of football for Dave Logan and the Wildcats. They lead it 21-0. We'll be back with the second half. You are listening and watching A West football on the A West Network. Welcome back to Jeffco Stadium for the second half action between the Arvada West Wildcats and the Fort Collins Lambkins. Arvada West leads this game 21-0. Let's run you through the scoring in this game. First, in the first quarter, Caleb Atchison struck for Arvada West with a 55-yard punt return. That made it 7-0. Then David Wyatt scored on a keeper from 5 yards out. That made it 14-0 Arvada West. Second quarter, Mike Orr takes it in from 13 yards. An incredible run by Mr. Orr. The transfer from Fort Collins does some damage to his former teammates. That makes it 21-0, and that is how the game ended. Of course, Fort Collins had a chance there late in the second quarter, under 2 minutes remaining. They had the ball deep in A-West territory, but they fumbled a snap. A-West recovered, and that thwarted any scoring threat for the Black Sheep. Arvada West looking very solid in this first half. They're averaging over 7 yards per play in this game. Fort Collins around 3 yards per play. That's where the difference is Arvada West, they've just been able to pick up bigger chunks of yardage. Fort Collins has had just as many first downs. They've had more plays, but their yards per play average is less than half that of what Arvada West is. Let's run through some individual stats. Leading the way rushing for Arvada West, Mike Orr, 5 carries, 30 yards, as we mentioned. He does have a touchdown. Receiving, Mike Duran, 5 catches, 53 yards. Caleb Atchison, pretty good first half of football for the guy who's never played the game before. 1 catch, 49 yards. That includes a touchdown on a punt return. That was good for 55 yards. David Wyatt, very good first half as quarterback for the Cats. 8 of 11, no interceptions, 115 yards. Fort Collins, Martin Romero, the workhorse for the Lambkins. 10 rushes, 42 yards. Jacob Bernito, 0 of 2 throwing the ball. He does have a pick, obviously no yards. So those are your first half statistics in this football game as Fort Collins has to kick it off to Arvada West. Total offense for the Cats, 158 yards. For Fort Collins, only 88. Kicking the ball off here for Fort Collins is number 90, Steve Gustafson. Looks like Josh Ranson and Mike Duran back to return the kick for the Wildcats.
90 Gustafson kicking off for Fort Collins.
And Gustafson gets pretty good leg in it. Duran fields the kick at the 5. Out across a 15, 20, 25. He's got some room to run. 40. No one's going to catch him. Look at Duran put on the speed, and he takes it to the house. 95 yards for Mike Duran, and just like that, the Cats go up 27-0. Oh my! On a play like that, Mike Duran gets all the accolades, but you got to give some of the guys up front some credit because they opened that hole and knocked some Lambkins on their backsides. Great blocking there by the special teams unit for Arvada West. Pat Chavez writes a note to me that speed kills and killed the Lambkins on that one. Dave Logan actually told me, and when you lose a guy like Brad Pyatt, it's hard to process this information, but he thinks this year's team may indeed be quicker than last year's team. Now that is a bold statement when you had a guy like Brad Pyatt. He's now gone, but you know, Caleb Atchison steps in, and he's already shown us that he can fly, so indeed this year's version of the Wildcats may indeed be quicker. There's a flag on the play as Thomas Valenta was set to kick the extra point. I would assume that if Arvada West scores again, we'll see Kristen Cameron get her second shot at a PAT. All right, they're going to try this one again. Valenta, the lefty, gets a spot from Nathan Fisher. The kick is up, and it is good. So the score now 28-0, 11:47 remaining here in the second half. And Wow, special teams once again killing Fort Collins. Last year they gave up a number of big plays on kick and punt returns, and today Arvada West has scored twice, once on a kickoff return and once on a punt return. They've made a living of doing that recently, and that is indeed the case once again so far this year. Mike Duran's just an incredible athlete. This guy not only a good football player, but probably as many people at Arvada West know, very good baseball player too. Coach Logan told me he talked to a Major League Baseball scout who said if Mike would have been a senior last year and left high school, he probably would have been selected somewhere in the 10th round of the baseball draft. And if I'm correct, baseball draft has like 50 or 60 rounds, so being in the 10th round is indeed quite an accomplishment. Fletcher with another kick. This one's going to be fielded by Romero at about the 2. Romero running to his left and runs into like 6 or 7 Wildcat players. Where was the Fort Collins blocking? I see 7 guys out near the 40-yard line blocking 2 Wildcats. They just totally ran right by the first wave of Wildcat defenders and left Romero hanging to dry. He's tackled at the 10, a short pickup of 8, and it's going to be 1st and 10 for Fort Collins, their own 10-yard line. Jacob Bernito, the senior quarterback for Fort Collins, trying to get something happening here for the Lambkins. Remember, the last time they had the football, they moved it pretty well. They had it down to the Arvada West 11-yard line before fumbling it. Duran 6 touches tonight, 148 yards. It's good for 24.6 yards per touch. We expect him to get the ball 15, 20 times per game. He's making good on his chances tonight. That's Romero bringing it up across the 15 out to the 16-yard line. Good defense by John Flores. He cut off Romero's path to the outside, forced him to turn it up and brought him closer to the defense. 5, however, for Romero. 2nd and 5. Hand off to Romero, breaks some tackles out across the 20. Big hit there by Ryan Palmer, but not until Romero picks up about 10 yards on the play. So Martin Romero adding to his fairly impressive numbers in this game. 12 carries, 57 yards, and Fort Collins moves the chains. 1st down for the Black Sheep. Palmer did give him a nice shot there at the end of that run. Romero was struggling for an extra yard or 2. Palmer came up beside him and put him down in a hurry. First down and 10. Bernito under center, hands it up the gut to his fullback. He's going nowhere. Jaden McNeely on the tackle, joined by Joe Knight, and a very short pickup on the play by, I believe, that is Chris Krause. Pickup a 1 for Krause, let's say. Call it 2nd and 9 for the Black Sheep.
2nd down and 9.
Our Arvada West defense has been some kind of an impressive unit here tonight. Granted, Fort Collins a fairly one-dimensional football team. Nonetheless, Arvada West has been able to keep them in check. Little Dallas Cowboy shift there by the Fort Collins offensive line. 2nd time they've used it today, and you know what? 2nd time Arvada West has jumped offside, so they'll pick up a free 5 yards, and I guess when you're the Lambkins, you'll take it any way you can get it. There you see the official giving the offsides call for the Wildcats. So it's going to bring up 2nd down and 4 yards for Fort Collins.
2nd down and 4.
You know, they might want to just keep doing that Dallas Cowboy shift every time until Arvada West doesn't jump off sides. 5 yards a crack might take them a while, but, you know, that's been their most consistent method of moving the football in this football game. Bernito hands it off to Romero. He breaks a tackle at the point of contact, slithers his way forward for a yard or 2, and guess who had him by the shoestrings? Ryan Palmer also in on that tackle. Rob Morella's 5'11", 185-pound senior. we mentioned in the pregame, a short pregame show nonetheless, but a pregame show, we'll call it, on the A-West Wildcat Network. Ryan Palmer is just a stud. This guy being recruited heavily by a number of schools. Actually, there's a number of good linebackers in the state this year. Ryan Palmer may very well head that list. Much to my chagrin, however, not really looking at Colorado the last I saw. That's Romero with the carry. He's wrapped up very early. I believe it was Jaden McNeely on the bottom of the pile. Might have got some help from John Flora. And Romero probably is stopped for no gain on the play. So that's going to bring up a 4th down and 3-yard situation for Fort Collins. And I'd imagine you got to punt it. And that's indeed the case unless they're going to run a fake. And Fort Collins is going to line up in a punting situation. Josh Ranson's going to go back and field the punt for Arvada West. He will stand at about his 35-yard line. Another low driving kick. Ranson calls for a fair catch at the 30, corrals it, and that's where Arvada West is going to set up shop here in the 3rd quarter. 8:15 remaining. Arvada West leads it 28-0.
Ball at the 31-yard line. 1st and 10, Arvada West.
First down and 10. Arvada West has the ball just outside their own 30-yard line. David Wyatt and Mike Duran in the backfield. Ranson and Sims out to the left. Atchison and Campbell, I believe, out to the right. Short pass. That ball is out across the 35 near the 40-yard line. A pickup of 8, and my fault. That was not Adam Campbell. I saw the 0 and thought it was number 10. That's number 80, Bob Gutierrez, 5'9", 140-pound sophomore. That's about what I looked like when I was in high school.
Ball at the 39-yard line.
Ranson's going to check out, checking in for the Wildcats. Caleb Atchison. Excuse me, that wasn't Caleb Atchison. Checking in for the Wildcats is Lucas Wathier. Hand off to Duran, up the gut, breaks a tackle out near midfield, breaks another tackle. Let's see if speed indeed kills, and he blows by everybody and chalk up another touchdown and another big play by Mike Duran. 61 yards on the run. And if there was a Heisman Trophy given out to high school football players in the state of Colorado, Mike Duran may indeed be the front runner. Wow. The little guy, and he's not that little, he's just short and compact, not only showed you speed on that run, he showed you power. He broke 2 or 3 tackles, kept driving those legs forward, kept his balance, and 61 yards later, the young man had reached pay dirt. And on the field for the PAT, Kristen Kamen. Kamen wearing number 16 for the Wildcats this fall. Second PAT attempt in her career. The kick is up and good. So Kamen makes good on her second PAT attempt, and the scores 35-0. Arvada West turning this one into a laugher. We'll be back with more on the A-West Wildcat Network. Welcome back to Jeffco Stadium. As we mentioned, this one has been all Wildcats. They lead it 35-0. Keep in mind, these two teams played last year in the opening game of the season, and Arvada West won that game 41-0. I spoke with Dave Logan this week before the game, and he told me that he thought that this year's team would be pretty good. And in his words, he said, "I'm very excited about this season." And I think this team that we're watching tonight is giving us good reason why Dave's excited. Despite the loss of some pretty good players, you know, Jeremy Craighead, Brad Pyatt, Derek Cavallari, not only does he have some solid returners back this year, or some solid players returning, he's got some newcomers, Caleb Atchison, and some guys like Josh Ranson and Drew Cisneros and John Flora and Luke Vanola, guys who didn't start last year, but played quite a bit. And these guys are stepping in and I think filling the void of a lot of guys who played last year very well. 1st and 10, ball at the 24, Fort Collins again. They've got that split T backfield. Romero in motion, handed up the gut to Davin Clark, and Clark's running, but going nowhere. In on that tackle, Jason Higbee, along with, I believe, John Flora, and that's going to be a loss of 1 for Cook. 2nd down and 11. Tell you what, if Fort Collins doesn't start moving the chains and eating up some clock, this thing could get ugly if it already isn't. Well, I'll tell you what, that kickoff return to begin the second half, and then Mike Duran's run on the very first next offensive play by the Wildcats really has taken the wind out of Fort Collins' sails. However, Martin Romero with a nice run there, a pickup of 4 yards on the play. Romero has been the lone bright spot for the Lambkins, 15 carries, 62 yards. J.C. Tyus, 6'1", 170-pound senior, helping out on the tackle for the Wildcats. I really like the comparison that my spotter Pat Chavez made when he made the comparison of Mike Duran with Peter Warwick, because at this level he has those same kind of skills and the same kind of production. When plays look to be shut down, Mike Duran has the ability to turn something into nothing, much like Florida State wide receiver Peter Warwick. That's one of the reasons why Warwick is one of the front runners for the Heisman. There's a hand up the gut. We've got a flag, probably holding. I think that's Chris Krause barreling his way out near the 30-yard line. It is. We'll call it a pickup of 4, but let's see if it stands.
48 Krause, ball carrier.
Holding Fort Collins. It's coming back. Dave Logan and the coaching staff signaling to push the Lambkins back.
Fort Collins.
I know many of you are going to watch this, let's say, on tape delay. Let's see if we can get you a football score here. Actually, we can't because we don't have an update on college football game tonight between Oregon and Michigan State.
Fort Collins 14-yard line. Third down and 15.
We can tell you, however, that the Jacksonville Jaguars lead the Dallas Cowboys in exhibition football 17-0, as if you cared. 3rd down and about 15 for the Arvada West Wildcats. That's what you call filling time, folks. Ball at Fort Collins, 15-yard line. Handoff up the gut to, I believe that's Ian Venter, and he gets about no gain on the play, so that stingy Wildcat defense does its job once again, brings up 4th down and an obvious punting situation.
4th down and 15.
Back to receive this punt, Caleb Atchison and Mike Duran. And boy, I'll tell you what, if they don't kick it to Duran, they've got to kick it to Atchison. And I mean, pick your poison. Atchison's had a punt return for 55 yards in this game as well. Another low driving kick, ball bounces short. Atchison picks it up, tries to split the first 2 tacklers. However, just tripped up. Nice play by Beck Anderson, the fullback for Fort Collins. Atchison has a short, maybe 3 or 4 yard gain. However, A. West will start this series in Fort Collins territory at the Lambkins 47-yard line.
Arvada West, ball marked at the Fort Collins 47.
I'll tell you what, next game what we'll have to do is we'll have to keep a count on the tackles Ryan Palmer makes, because I'd venture to guess he's already close to double digits tonight. Hasn't had many big hits tonight, but whenever he comes up off the pile, the guy who's got his arms around the ball carrier's ankles always seems to be Ryan Palmer. There's a hand up right up the gut to Mike Orr. Orr picks up about 11 on the play. Offensive line doing a good job there. Guys like Kip Rule and John Doan and Josh Jones and Brian Johnson and Joe Shepard. And sometimes Ryan Palmer, he's not in there right now, but he did play a little offensive tackle there earlier in the first half. Pickup of, we're going to have a timeout, probably have to call for a measurement here, close to 10 yards on the pickup. Actually, they're going to say he's short, so pick up a 9, call it 2nd and 1. I formation behind Wyatt, that is Orr in motion to the right. Hand off to Huey up the middle, 5, 10, 11 yards as Huey barrels his way over the Lambkin defenders. In on that tackle, however, can't quite see his number. Looks like number 78, and that would be Mark Schwartz. And we've got a player down on the field, and it is a member of the Lambkins. Looks like it could be a turned ankle. So that's Nick Ballou being taken off the field. He's putting a little weight on that left leg, so probably turned or just maybe mildly sprained an ankle. You hate to speculate, but the good news is he was putting some weight on it and doesn't appear to be in too much pain. Maybe take a week off, ice that thing down, and he'll probably be back out on the field for the Black Sheep. Regardless, 1st down and 10 for the West Wildcats. Ball inside the Fort Collins 30 at the 27. Nice tune-up for Dave Logan's club. Remember, next week they take on Mullen. That should be a good one. Wyatt under center. Huey and Orr behind him. Ranson split right. There's a counter play to Orr. Orr bouncing off some tacklers. We've got a penalty flag. Pick up a 5, but I'd imagine we've got a holding call, and this one's probably coming back.
Number 36, Orr, the ball carrier, penalty marker down.
And the way the A-West team's walking back, this might be a 15-yarder. They're all the way back to midfield. See, 5, just a 10-yard penalty, so the ball, it takes it back to the 39. That's going to bring up 1st down and about 22 for Arvada West. So now the Wildcats faced with a tad bit of a challenge. Let's see if they can pick this one up. We got Luke Benola split right, Mike Duran split left, and offset I behind Wyatt in the backfield. 1st down, 22. Wyatt fakes a handoff to Orr, rolls to his left, looks, finds Huey. Actually throws it a little over the head of Huey. He can't hang on. And that's going to bring up 2nd down and 22. Wyatt 9 of 13 this afternoon, or this evening I should say, 124 yards. Pretty effective night by the senior quarterback for the Arvada West Wildcats. Josh Ranson checking in, Luke Vanola checking out, as is Zach Huey. 2nd down, 22, again, ball 39. We're in the 3rd quarter, 2:53 remaining. Arvada West leads it 35-0. Ranson and Sims split to the left. Duran and Atchison split right. Orr joins Wyatt in the backfield. Wyatt back to pass. Here comes the rush. Throws it to Duran. He's stopped cold, however, at the 37-yard line. A pickup of 2, and in on that tackle was Troy Carruthers, junior defensive back. And that time, Fort Collins, despite the defensive lineman being allowed to break through the line of scrimmage, Carruthers stayed the course, kept his position, was right there to make a nice tackle on Mike Duran. Nice defensive play there by the Black Sheep. Brings up 3rd and long. We'll call it 3rd and 20. Pick up a 2 there on that play. I think that's the 3rd time Duran's touched the ball here in the second half. The first 2 times he touched it, both went for touchdowns. 95 yards and 61 yards. Wyatt back to pass, looks, throws to his right, has Duran wide open and overthrows him. That time Duran got behind Carruthers, but Wyatt just overthrew him. Duran gave it a nice effort, but passed just a little too strong, and that's going to bring up a 4th and 20 situation for Arvada West. And we've mentioned it before, punting is not something you see Dave Logan's squad do often. Despite a 35-0 lead late in the 3rd quarter, every sign indicates that the Cats are going to go for it. Wyatt is in the game, as is Orr, as is Duran, and they're going to line up like they're going to take a crack at it. 4th and 20, ball at Fort Collins 36, 35-0, and Arvada West going for it on 4th and 20. Four wide receivers, 2 to the left, 2 to the right. That's Wyatt, back to pass, good protection. Protection breaks down, he's being chased. Wyatt looks to run, and he's grabbed out of bounds and thrown down, and is there a flag? I don't see one. Dave Logan thinking that might have been a little rough play, and it very well may have been. Nonetheless, Fort Collins holds on 4th down. The second time Arvada West has gone for it on 4th down tonight and hasn't made it. So the Lambkins are going to take over, ball at their own 42-yard line. Loss of probably about 5 on the play. Wasn't sure who made the sack, but Wyatt was roughed up a little bit there on the far sideline.
42, 1st and 10, Fort Collins.
Let's see if Ryan Palmer extracts a little revenge now that he's out on the field for that tackle of his quarterback. First down and 10, ball Fort Collins 42-yard line. Again, Lambkins in that run-dominated set. Bernito hands it off to Romero. He turns it up in between the tackles and picks up 6 yards. John Flora in there on the tackle, but a 6-yard pickup by Martin Romero.
47, Romero, ball carrier. Stop made by number 5, Flora. 2nd down and 5.
2nd down, we'll call it 5 yards. 5-yard pickup by Romero. Romero, 16 carries, 67 yards in this football game. Be nice to see him crack the 100-yard barrier. He's played a pretty rugged and tough ball game for this outmanned Lambkin team. That time, though, Romero's going nowhere. Adam Campbell with the tackle, then he gives Jacob Bernito a little shove, and Adam Reynolds with a nice play there, a tackle for a loss of 2 on the play, and that's going to bring up 3rd down and 7 for Fort Collins. Actually, Eddie Reynolds, excuse me, not Adam, Eddie Reynolds, 6 foot, 180-pound senior defensive back. Called his name a couple times today. Had the initial tackle on the opening kickoff, I believe, and came in there. I think that's probably his 3rd or 4th tackle in this football game. Palmer showing blitz, just barrels over the fullback. Bernito rolls out to avoid the pressure. However, he can't escape the wrath of Chris Chavez, John Flores, and there was another Wildcat over there. Just can't make out a number, but Bernito paid for it on that one, and he's walking a little gingerly back to the Fort Collins huddle, and we've got 4th down and 7. Big hit applied there by Flora. Bernito 4 carries for 25 yards in this football game. And that is the end of the 3rd quarter. Everyone's hands go up for the 4th quarter. Put 12 minutes up there on the clock. 35-0. A-West in total control. We'll come back with the fourth quarter after this. Back to Jeffco Stadium, the beginning of the fourth quarter, 12 minutes up on the clock, and Arvada West 12 minutes away from their first victory of the year. 4th and 7 ball at the 45-yard line. Josh Ranson back to receive the punt. A better kick this time by Landers. Ranson calls for the fair catch at the 16, and that is where the Wildcats will set up shop.
Number 4, Ranson at the 16-yard line. 1st and 10, Arvada West.
Nick Aiden, Josh Jones, John Doan, Kip Rule, a few of the offensive linemen out there on the field for the Wildcats. Abe Lee also out there, 6'3", 240-pound junior. Ryan Palmer will play a little tackle this year. He didn't play any offense that I remember last year. He will play some tackle this year. He played some sparingly there in the first quarter. But I'd imagine with this game underhand, Dave Logan probably wants him to rest a little bit because next week against Mullen, he may see a little more time on both offense and defense. Fort Collins calls a timeout. Obviously, they don't have the correct personnel out on the field. And will they take a timeout? We'll take another break as well. This is the A-West Wildcat Network. Welcome back to Jeffco Stadium. It has been the Mike Duran Show here in the home opener for the Arvada West Wildcats. 211 yards in total offense. I believe he has 2 touchdowns. All that on only 8 touches. That means he's averaging about 26 yards every time he touches the football. Like we said, the front runner for the Colorado High School Heisman Trophy. Here's the new ball carrier for the Wildcats on the carry, Joe DeTirio. 5'9", 155-pound sophomore running back, Joe DeTiro, with a nice pickup there. We'll give him 7 yards on the play. Second down. Actually, let's give it him 8. Don't want to shortchange Joe by a yard. 2nd and 2 for the Wildcats.
Second down and 2.
Lucas Wathier and Bob Gutierrez checking in at the receiver positions. Duran and Atchison checking out. 2nd and 2. DeTiro in motion to the right. Wyatt hands it up the gut. That's going to be a first down and more out across the 30-yard line on the carry, Isaac Benoit. And that's going to be a pickup of 7 yards for Isaac, and that moves the chains, and Arvada West chalks up another first down. 10:55 remaining. Our score, Arvada West 35. Fort Collins nothing. Luke Vanola checking in. Good opportunity here for Dave Logan and Arvada West to play some of the younger kids, some of the kids who maybe haven't seen as much varsity action as some of the guys who start. Get them some much-needed experience. You never know when you're going to have to call on some of those players. There's a nice hard run by DeTiro. Short pickup on the play, maybe a yard or two. He's going to bring up 2nd and long.
The ball carrier. Tackle made by number 58, Cooper.
Matt Sims checking in for Arvada West. DeTiro coming out, 2nd down and 8. Really impressed with a couple things by Arvada West tonight. Their speed, much quicker than I thought they'd be. A point that's been made often by our spotter today, Pat Chavez. They come at you in waves, incredible depth, and this is a very versatile football team. They've got a dominating defense, and they got a big play offense, and not much has changed over the course of a summer for Arvada West. That pass misses its mark by Wyatt. Tonight, Wyatt is 11 of 16, 126 yards. Still pretty good effort by Mr. Wyatt tonight, and that's going to bring up 3rd and long. Duran checking in, along with Wathier and Gutierrez. Benoit and Vanola checking out. Luke Vanola. When I was in high school, in grade school, knew a girl named Kelly Vanola. Wonder if there's any relation. She grew up in Arvada as well. 3rd down and 8. Wyatt under center. Takes a 5-step drop, looks over the middle, has a man open, but overshoots his target. The intended receiver on the play was number 86. I don't seem to have an 86 on my roster. I'm going to guess it's either Joe Clark or Mike Beer. Sorry, either Joe or Mike. Not sure on your number. And for the first time tonight, Arvada West is going to punt. Mike Duran back to do the honors. So if he kicks it 50 yards, does that add on to his total offense? No, I'm just kidding, folks. I don't know much football, but I know a little more football than that.
Down and 8.
Back to receive the punt is Ryan Walker and Patrick Shanahan. Probably no relation to Mike. Nice high kick by Duran. Shanahan calls for the fair. I guess he didn't call for a fair catch. He's tackled immediately at the 35. He should have called for a fair catch. And here comes the Arvada West defense back out onto the field. 35-yard punt, no return. I'll tell you what, that was a high punt. That thing got up in the lights.
35-yard line. 1st and 10, Fort Collins.
We talk about A West versatility. I mean, you don't have to look much further than Mike Duran as an example of that. Here's a guy last year who played both offense and defense. This year he's shunned his defensive responsibilities, but he's not playing as much tailback. Playing more wide receiver, still plays a little tailback, returns kick, returns punts, and he does the punting for this team. Dave Logan wants these kids to be versatile, and he gets his best athletes on the field often. That's Martin Romero turning it upfield for a short gain. Adam Campbell in on the stop, along with another host of A West tacklers, going to bring up 2nd and long. Nathan Fisher, number 7, a 5'11", 165-pound junior, warming up here on the sidelines for A West. We may expect to see him relieve Wyatt before this game's out, and why not? Up 35-0, give that backup quarterback a little PT. Pickup of 2 on the play by Romero. Romero, 18 carries, 68 yards. Looks like there is an injury on the field. Number 64, Mike Clark, being walked off by the Fort Collins trainers, and a short delay in the action, but game has resumed. 8:49 remaining, 35-0. Arvada West in the lead. Front 4 still intact for the A West defense. We have had some substitutions at the linebacker position, though. That's Romero, I believe, turning it upfield. Across the 40, out near the 42. That would be a pickup of about 5 for Martin. And he's got 71 yards on the night. It's been a workman-like blue-collar effort for Romero. Don't think he's had any carry over 10 yards. Everything's been about that 3 to 7 yard range. It's been tough sledding against this very staunch Arvada West defense, but Romero's turned in a pretty good effort for Tim Monty and the rest of the Fort Collins faithful. 3rd and short, we'll call it 3. That's Romero in motion, and that play is broken up early as Ryan Palmer's in there again on a tackle. We do have a flag. Let's see what the flag's for. Rob Morella is also on the bottom of that pile. Looks like we've got a personal foul on Arvada West. So that's going to be a 15-yarder, and that's going to put Fort Collins into Arvada West territory. Maybe a mental lapse there by the A West defense, but up 35-0. Hey, you don't want to see your team pick up a personal foul penalty, but I guess you can say they can afford it.
The first and 10, Fort Collins.
Fort Collins, the black sheep with the ball, first and 10 at the A West 43, and the Lambkins finally have a little something cooking here. Haven't had the ball in A West territory too often. Got it there tonight. Hand off to Romero. He hands it off to Davin Cook, and Davin Cook runs right into, guess who? Ryan Palmer. How about Emerson Lake and Palmer? That's a loss of about 2 on the play, as Ryan Palmer must have been in the Fort Collins playbook on that one. An interesting little play. They handed it off to Romero, then he handed it off to Cook, but Palmer just wasn't fooled. Stayed his ground, maintained his assignment, and was there on the tackle. Adam Campbell, Ryan Palmer, Gianfranco Pacello, a few of the guys manning the linebacker positions for A West. Shane Marsh in there as a defensive back. Little play action by Bernito, rolling to his right, throws and has a pass that should have been caught, dropped. Intended receiver on that one for Bernito was Ted Walker. That's going to bring up third down, about 12. Ball is placed at actually at the 45-yard line of the Wildcats. Bernito 0 for 3 throwing the ball tonight. Should be 1 of 3 though. That was a very catchable pass by Ted Walker. I think he probably may have thought about running it before he actually corralled it. A little delay here in the action. Fort Collins not in too much of a hurry to get up to the line of scrimmage, and when you're down 35-0, I guess I wouldn't be either. Under 7 minutes left here in the fourth quarter. Full house backfield. Bernito back to pass. Jaden McNeely misses a sack. It's going to be a holding call. Bernito runs it and gets out of bounds at about the 41-yard line. A pick up a 4, but that's coming back, and it's going to be a holding penalty on Tristan Botcher, as he had a handful of Jaden McNeely. McNeely probably would have sacked Bernito back by about Fort Collins 45. So this thing probably is going to be taken back close to the Fort Collins 35-yard line. They'll take the 10-yard penalty and they'll mark it from the spot of the hold. And from where the flag's at, that's about the Fort Collins 30 or 46. So expect this thing back near the 36-yard line of the Lambkins.
Holding, Fort Collins.
And as you could imagine, with a 35-0 lead, a lot of the A West students seem to have lost interest in the game. They're still here, but they seem to be in a more social mood, let's say. It's going to bring up third and a country mile. What, 31 yards? Third and 31 for Fort Collins, and I'm going to go out on a limb and guess they don't pick this up. Longest play I can remember tonight for Fort Collins is probably 12, 13, 14 yards, something like that. A West has done a great job stymieing the Fort Collins offense, and Bernito's in a whole heap of trouble. Somehow he escapes, throws downfield, and has it wide open. Martin Romero, but throws it behind him, and Romero puts his hands on his face in disgust. And it looks like Jacob Bernito's a little slow getting up. He got crunched. But hey, I'll tell you what, that kid's got a little escapability back there in the pocket. There's been a couple times when it's looked like he's been hung out for dead. But he's been able to escape, and he's tried to make something happen. A nice throw there, just a little bit behind the intended receiver. So 4th and 31, the A West defense keeps that shutout intact. 6:31 left here in the game. Ranson back to return the kick. 7th punt of the night by the Lambkins. Nice driving spiral. Ransom goes all the way back. He leaves it alone, and Fort Collins is going to down it at the 12. I'm going to guess, what, a 52, 53-yard punt on that one by Brent Lanners. So a nice kick there by Lanners, and A West is going to start it deep in its own territory. Let's see if there indeed has been a change at quarterback. If there has been, we anticipate Nathan Fisher is going to be the man, and there's Nathan running out on the field. Nathan, a 5'11", 165-pound junior. First and 10 for A West, ball at their own 12. DeTiro in the backfield. Couple wide receivers split left. 2 tight end formation. Handed off to DeTiro, and he runs into a tackler, bounces off, keeps driving forward, and that's a 9-yard pickup for DeTiro before he is finally brought down by Troy Carruthers.
43, DeTiro carrying.
Kyle Brandon, or Brandon Kyle, I should say, checking in for the Wildcats. 3 carries, 19 yards for DeTiro tonight. DeTiro jaunts off the field along with Mike Beer. It's got Luke Vanola and Bob Gutierrez split right. Fisher hands it off. Little bit of a hole. Nice running out across the 35, tackled at the 36, and Brandon Kyle makes good on his first opportunity carrying the football. Some nice nifty moves there by the 155-pound junior. And again, that's a guy who's right around my playing weight when I was in high school, of course. I didn't play anything except golf. It wasn't cool back then.
Arvada West, 37.
First and 10, ball at the 36. Another first down for the Wildcats. Under 6 minutes remaining in the game. DeTiro in the backfield. There's a handoff up the gut to Isaac Benoit. He takes it across the 40 to the 42. Pick up a 5. Second down and 5 for the Wildcats. Second carry on the night for Isaac. 4:40 and counting in this football game, and it's been all Arvada West, much like it was last year. Vanola checks out. Gutierrez and Wathier are split left. It's like we got Kyle in the backfield behind Benoit. Fisher under center. Hands it off to Kyle, and another nice run there by Brandon out across the 45, out near midfield. He'll probably be stopped shy of the 50-yard line, down for 49, but that's a pickup of 7. So Brandon Kyle, 2 carries, 16 yards. Nice, 2 carries, 19 yards. Nice effort there by Brandon. Ball resting in between the 48 and the 49-yard line of the Wildcats. They have the football. They have the lead, and they are chewing up the clock. Fisher misses the handoff to his fullback. He nudges ahead, though, for about a yard gain. In on that tackle for Fort Collins, Blaine Toole, senior defensive tackle.
Number 7, Fisher, keeping.
Second down and 9, ball at the 49-yard line. A beautiful night for high school football here in the state of Colorado. A little rain earlier in the afternoon. It has subsided, and just a nice, cool evening for a game of football. There's a handoff to DeTiro, and he's wrapped up in the backfield. Nice tackle there by Aaron Donahoe, a junior for the Lambkins. Gain of nothing on the play, so that's going to bring up 3rd and 8. We'll give him a yard. Joe DeTiro picks up a yard on that one. Ball just on the other side of the midfield stripe. 2nd and 8.
Third down and 9.
Or 3rd, I should say, and 8. Fisher under center. He's got a two-back split behind him, Kyle and Benoit. Two wide receivers, a little option by Fisher. He pitches it to Kyle. Kyle can't handle it, and that fumble is going to be recovered by Fort Collins. So Fort Collins is going to have another chance with the ball resting in A-West territory to turn that goose egg into something positive on the scoreboard. Second fumble tonight for the Wildcats.
Fort Collins by number 25, Young. It'll be first and 10, Fort Collins. Ball marked at the Arvada West 47.
Comes the Arvada West defense, and we have got wholesale changes. We'll try to run down a number of these players for you. I know we've got Jared Ulrich out there, a 6', 205-pound junior defensive tackle. There's a handoff to Romero, and Romero stopped right about the line of scrimmage. In there at a linebacker position, Joe LeBeau, 5'10", 200-pound junior. Also out there, Joe Clark, number 87, number 86. I'm going to assume that's Mike Beer. Those guys, a couple defensive ends. Number 54, Bo Gertz, 6'1", 180-pound sophomore. So a sophomore seeing a little action on the varsity. Maybe the heir apparent to Ryan Palmer. You never know. Second down and 10, ball at the 47. That's Ian Ventnor, and he picks up a good 6 yards on that carry. In on the tackle was Mr. Ulrich, Jared Ulrich, but not until Ventnor picks up 6. Third down and 4, and we're under 2 minutes. Minute 20 remaining. The clock's rolling, and A-West has a lead, 35-0. I guess if you're a Fort Collins fan, you played them 6 points closer than you did last year. Nonetheless, this one was all Wildcats, just like it was last year up north in Fort Collins. Third down and about 4. Split T backfield, Dallas Cowboy shift. No one jumps. Romero tries to cut back against the grain. I think he's going to be about a yard short on that carry. In on the tackle, Jared Ulrich again. Also in on the tackle is Bo Gertz. 21 carries, 73 yards for Romero. He's found the running a little more difficult here in the second half. 10 carries, 42 yards at the half, so he's got 11 carries for 31 yards here in the second half. We've got 25 seconds remaining. We assume this is going to be the final play of the game. Fourth down and a yard for the Wildcats. In at quarterback for Fort Collins is Mitchell Merchting. He hands it off to his tailback, Ryan Walker. He's caught off the heels by Jared Sanchez, and that should be the football game. They're going to maybe measure for a first down, or are they just going to give it to him, or are they going to let the game end? There's an official timeout. We've got a measurement, so this game's going to last a few minutes longer, folks. Again, if we name a player of the game, it's got to be Mike Duran, 211 yards and only 8 touches. Good for 26 yards per touch. 95-yard kickoff return, 61-yard run for touchdowns, and he really did it all for 55-yard run for a touchdown. And he really did it all for the Wildcats. And the defense holds as they stop Fort Collins short of a first down, and barring a miracle, the A-West defense is going to put a goose egg up on the board in their first outing in 99, and that's got to make them feel good, especially going into next week's game against the Mullen Mustangs. I know Mullen lost a lot. No more Bo Scaife, no more Vince Mitchell, but Mullen over the years has proved to be a very good team year in and year out, and that should be a great early season matchup early in the 99 high school football season. Imagine Fisher will probably just take a knee or maybe hand it off to someone. The way this looks, it looks like Fisher's going to take a knee. He's going to get a save. Oh, wait, we're not talking baseball. And it's probably, if you're up 35-0, you're probably not a save opportunity anyway, huh? But we're being positive. Fisher takes a snap, takes a knee, and that is indeed the football game. Arvada West Wildcats 1-0 to start the 1999 season. They win it 35-0 over the Fort Collins Lambkins. Next week, A West takes on Mullen. That game will be at Mullen. You won't want to miss it. For Pat Chavez, our spotter, I'm Eric Christensen. Don Martin will be back next week, bidding you good night from the A West Wildcat Network. The final, Arvada West 35, Fort Collins 0.